Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here and welcome back to Camp Create. In today's video, we are going to be focusing on our trio shaker pouches. We have a few different options in these. We have circles, squares, and hearts, and I thought it would be fun to kind of show you how to use these if this is something that's new to you. So if you are not familiar, we have shaker pouches in lots of shapes and sizes. Usually they are individual pouches, but for these ones here, we actually have 3 different shaker parts that work with one die to create 3 different shaker openings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut this circle, trio, shaker, window, and frame dynamics right out of the center of a panel of white cardstock. So I have my cardstock cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I'm going to cut this on a diagonal because we're going to turn this into a card with Christmas ornaments on it. So I'm kind of positioning it so I have it centered from side to side, and we're going to do a little bit of Christmas in July here while we're at camp, and I'm going to show you how to turn these 3 circles into 3 shaker ornaments. So now that I have the die cutting complete, you can see that our circle trio shaker pouches fit perfectly into all 3 of these windows. But before I start to assemble the shaker card and add that dimension onto the card panel, I do want to stamp out our sentiment. And you can see I kind of showed you can turn these shaker pouches so that you have a row of the circles going horizontal or vertical. There's all sorts of different ways that you can use these. So on this card here, I'm going to go ahead and stamp our season's greeting sentiment in the bottom left-hand corner. And like I mentioned, I don't want to have the shaker pouch in there quite yet, since you can see the stamp kind of overlaps that circle area. So I just put it into my mini MISTI, and I'm going to use black ink, and I'm going to stamp this directly onto the white panel. This specific sentiment stamp comes from the hand-lettered holiday stamp set, but you can use any type of sentiment that you want to use here. You could mix and match a bunch as well, since you do have a little bit of an open area down there. Now once I have that stamped on there, I can go ahead and start to work on the shaker component of my card. Now for the backer of each ornament, I'm going to use this pattern paper from the Candyland paper pack, and I know that I want to have all 3 of these colors represented in each of the circles. So what I need to do first is I need to put my shaker pouch into the front panel. My preferred method for adhering shaker pouches is to use 1/8 inch score tape. Now you can use this or you can use liquid adhesive as well. That does work really great, but I find that I always end up making a mess with it, so I like using the score tape since I don't have to worry about the liquid adhesive kind of going underneath of the shaker pouch. So what I do is I just take a large piece and I start to go around the circle area, and I don't break the score tape as I go. I just kind of bend it around that circle opening. It doesn't matter if it looks pretty, we're not going to see it. You just want to make sure that you have that adhesive all the way around that circle. If you prefer to break it into pieces, you can do that as well. And I'm just going around each of these circles and adding this adhesive all the way around them. I did used to add this directly to the shaker pouch, but then I found it was a lot easier to do it directly on the cardstock and then just put the shaker pouch in and adhere it that way. So now that I have all of that adhesive on there, I'm just removing all of the little backer pieces, and now I have all that exposed adhesive right on the back of this panel, and I can very carefully insert the shaker pouch right through the openings, and now we have all 3 windows with a shaker pouch perfectly lined up in there. Normally on a shaker card, you need to use foam adhesive to allow the sequins to be able to move around in the shaker area, but by using the shaker pouches, it eliminates any need for foam adhesive, which is really great if you do like to send your cards in the mail since it reduces the bulk and makes them a lot easier to mail. So now that I have that all in there, you can see I took my pattern paper and I had a circle die that was a little bit larger than the 3 circle openings, and I just ran my pattern papers through my die cutting machine and cut out all of those individual circles. And now you can see they're large enough to perfectly go over the circle, and we're going to be able to put all of our sequins in and seal them inside. Once I've decided how I want to position my pattern paper on the card design, I'm going to go ahead and grab my clear sequins as well as my 1/8 inch score tape once again. Because now that we have the pouch securely put inside that panel, we need to add more adhesive on the back of it so that our pattern paper has somewhere to adhere to. So once again, I'm going to do the exact same process. I'm going to go around the circle area of the shaker pouch openings, and I'm going to add the score tape all the way around. Once I have it firmly on there, I'm going to go ahead and remove the backer piece. Now you can put your sequins in first and then remove your backer pieces, or you can do as I do and remove the backer pieces first. I prefer to do it this way because I find that when I'm trying to remove the backer pieces, sometimes they get kind of caught and it makes the panel kind of jump on the work surface. And what can happen is if you already have your sequins in there, they end up kind of flying all over the place and then getting stuck all over that adhesive. So I personally find that it's a lot easier to remove the backing, fill each of the openings with the little sequins there, and then I can go one by one and add all of the backer pieces. Make sure that your panel is the right way up if you're using any type of text, which I do have on 2 of my circles, and I'm just kind of flipping them over and making sure I have them right side up before I adhere them onto the openings, and then I'm pressing very firmly on all 3 of them to make sure they're fully adhered. And then once I'm done that, when we flip it over, we have all 3 of these really cool colors. We have the patterns with the snowflakes and the text, and then we have those clear sequins in each of those openings as well that freely move around our ornaments. Okay, so once we have this part done, now we need to turn them into Christmas ornaments. Right now they just look like circles there, so we want to add strings and an ornament topper to each of these as well. So I have my filled with Joy Die-namics, and I have the bow piece as well as the little ornament topper. And I'm going to die cut these pieces from silver sparkle cardstock, and then we're going to put this on each of those little circle openings, which is going to turn them into what looks like a row of Christmas ornaments. So I'm just taking all of my dies here as well as my silver sparkle cardstock, and I'm going to run all of these pieces through my die cutting machine. I have 4 bows here. I know we only have 3 ornaments, but you're going to see when we get to the last one there, that green one, it's a little bit too far down the card panel, so we're going to need to kind of join 2 strings together. And now for the ornament topper, I also want to show you a little trick I do for this. If you die cut the ornament topper as is, because we have that pouch in there, it doesn't really sit properly against the ornament. So what I like to do is die cut the same circle shape that we did for the ornaments, and then I die cut the topper from that and kind of position it down a little bit into the opening, which gives us this little bit of a curve at the bottom of it. You can see it there. And you're going to see here when I lay this on the ornament, what this does is it allows it to go snug right against the ornament and look like it's all one piece. I'm going to show it to you flipped over as if you were to cut it out just on its own. And you can see that what happens is it kind of sits above the ornament and doesn't really look like it's attached. So I prefer to take that extra step and add that little bit of a curve to the topper piece, which really makes it all look like it goes together perfectly. And there's a little closer peek at how those ornament toppers look on the finished ornaments. I just love how this all comes together. So now I'm going to take some liquid glue. I have all my pieces die cut, and I'm going to use the liquid glue to add these on. Since they are pretty thin, I do find this is the easiest way to adhere them. So I'm just using my grid mat to help me line these up and get them on straight, and then I'm adhering them directly onto the card. And you can see that I'm going all the way down to the ornament. What's going to happen is when we add that topper piece, it's going to overlap the little bow string, and it's all going to look like one full piece. For the second one there, I was able to use just one of the bows as well, since the blue one is kind of in the center of the panel. So I adhered that on with my liquid glue. And then for the last one, this is the one we're going to need to kind of piece together since it doesn't reach all the way to the top. So what I did is I first adhered the bow directly onto the ornament like we did with the first 2. And then I took a second one and I adhered that one upside down so that we could just join the 2 strings. Now you can kind of see where the 2 strings meet. It's very subtle, but it is there. So if you prefer that that doesn't show, you can see what I do a little bit later here to kind of cover that up. Okay, so now that we have all of the front of the panel done, I'm adding score tape to the back of this. I'm fully covering it so we get it nice and secure on our card base. And I'm just going to add it right to the center of my Summer Splash card base. And for this card, our size is A2, which is 5.5 by 4.25 inches, so it's going to fit nicely into a standard A2 size envelope once it's finished. And because it has very little bulk, this easily goes into the envelope. Okay, so now you can see here I added some clear sequins to my finished design, and for that area of the string where we added the 2 pieces together, I actually used a really large sequin and just kind of put it right over top of where the 2 strings meet. So you can't even tell at all that it wasn't one continuous string anymore, since we kind of concealed that. I did fill all of the center of the sequins with Stardust stickles, and now we have a finished ornament card where we have 3 shaker ornaments that we created by only die cutting with 1 die and using a shaker pouch that fit into all 3 openings. I hope today's video gave you some ideas on ways that you can create shaker cards. Now it's your turn to complete today's camp activity, which is some kind of a shaker card either with pouches or the standard way with foam adhesive. Thanks so much for joining me for day 3 of Camp Create. Make sure to check out the video description for all of the giveaway information as well as a link to the blog post, and we will see you tomorrow for another day of camp. Thanks so much for watching.